Hi, welcome to my video and my channel, Kanbanan. And today we're gonna talk about the new October balance changes. It's really game changing. You have to stick to the end because the last point I'm telling you is gonna change the whole meta, gonna change the whole type of playing the game. The first and only comp that got nerfed is the Assassin trait. The Assassin trait got nerfed, in my opinion, unjustified. The 4x Assassin isn't really used in game. Of course, the 2x Assassin is really strong, but only the 4x Assassin got nerfed. In my opinion, it isn't really a smart nerf, and it will not change the game at all. There were 3 modifiers nerfed. First, the coaching, second, the Master Arena, and third, the Monster Drink. In my opinion, the coaching nerf is really sad for me because I really found it interesting, this modifier. The second, the Master Arena, I'm really happy about the nerf in the Master Arena. I despised this modifier. It was the most no-skill modifier in the whole game. And the only thing you had to do is have luck at the beginning, and then, for me, for a Spirit Empress player, you couldn't even cycle. So this modifier I really despised. I'm really happy about this nerf, so thank you, Supercell. And the third modifier, Monster Drink, got the buff. This buff changed the game a little bit, but it's not that important. Now comes to the buff, and the buffs are crazy. This changes the whole meta, like, completely. The first buff is the Electro Giant. I am really happy about the Electro Giant buff. It urgently needed a buff, or maybe even a rework. I'm really happy how they didn't change the card, but only the cooldown. The only problem this card had was the cooldown. The card died before it even activated its first ability, and now with upgrading the Electro Giant from 1-star to 2-star or 3-star, the cooldown decreases, means you get more abilities off if you have a 3-star Electro Giant than before. The second buff goes to the Skeleton Dragon. In my opinion, it was really needed buff, but it's still not enough. The Skeleton Dragon was, in my opinion, and in many pros' opinion, the worst card in the game. And it got the 20% ability HP cost buff. I want to explain it to you fast, that the Skeleton Dragon, every time it splits, it loses half of its life, and now this half of its life got decreased to 30% of its life. It's a good buff, but it's still not enough. It's still gonna be one of the worst cards in the game, so don't use the Skeleton Dragon, and I will probably not use the Skeleton Dragon. Maybe it will surprise me, but I'm sure it won't. The third buff goes to the Royal Ghost, and the last season they realized that the Ghost ability is too strong, so they nerfed it, but now the Royal Ghost isn't worth his elixir, so it got a buff. In my opinion, this buff doesn't really change anything. Maybe it changes a little bit, the 10% hit speed buff, but this card was good already. It will be a little bit better, but the Ghost is, in my opinion, just there to support the Golden Knight, the best card in the game. So this will change a little bit of gameplay, but of strategy, my strategy will stay the same. It won't change any comps, no teams. Now I'm gonna talk about the 5 traits that got buffed. The Electric trait, the Ranger, the Ace, the Noble, and the Goblin trait. The Goblin trait is completely game changing, so you have to stick to the end. It's completely changed the whole game. But first we're gonna talk about the Electric trait. The Electric trait got buffed from 15% to 20%. This is a really good buff, but you have to consider the Electro Giant got buffed too, meaning the Electric buff plus the Electro Giant buff plus the Electro Wizard already being a really good card. You have to assume that the Electric trait is gonna be used a lot of times in this meta, and probably you're gonna see new Electric trait comps and teams pop up in the new meta. So probably in the next 2 days I'm gonna do a video about a new team or new comp about the Electric trait. The next trade I'm going to talk about is the Rangers. The Rangers buff from 15 to 25 max stacks is a really needed buff. The Rangers was one of the best teams in the last season, the best comps in the last season, but in this season it really got overshined by the Blasters and the Fire, so the Rangers didn't really get any action. But with this buff, this Rangers trade can come back to his old glory and secure a place in these Juggernaut comps, in these Brawler comps, over the Fire or over the Blasters, or even as a substitute for these Blasters and Fire. So I'm probably gonna use the Rangers in these new Brawler and Juggernaut comps. The Ace trade is a really good buff. This trade didn't need a buff, but this buff gonna completely set Ace on this new meta. Maybe you're gonna see some Ace Golden Knight, some Ace Archer Queen, because this H buff is a really big buff. The Noble trade got buffed by 20% from 2 out of 6, 33% from 4 out of 6, and again 33% of 6 of 6. This buff of this trade is deserved, yes. It was a really good trade already, but I think you will still just use the 2 out of 6 trade. In a Noble you don't really use 4 out of 6 trade. Maybe after this buff you will see a 4 out of 6 trade, but I don't really think so. In a 6 out of 6 trade you won't see anyway. So finish. Now we are finally at the most important part of this update, the Goblin trade buff. You have to listen closely because this buff will change the whole meta completely, and it's really important to know these changes. Now by 2 goblins you will generate a 2 elixir goblin and a 3 elixir goblin. Means the 2 elixir goblin, the spear goblin and the normal goblin, and now also the 3 elixir goblin, the dart goblin. This completely changes the meta. I'm not even sure if this is a buff, because if you have 2 goblins on the field and you generate a dart goblin, you're not guaranteed a merge, but I still think it's a buff. I'm over analyzing it. But the most important part is now with the 4 goblin. In my opinion, to get the 4 goblin was before this update a dumb choice. It was you got the 2 goblins and not more. But now with this update, the 4 goblins is a really good trade. The change is now you don't get a 50% chance of getting a 2 elixir goblin, or 50% chance of getting a 3 or 4 elixir goblin. No, it's 100% chance of getting a 3 or 4 elixir goblin. This completely changes the meta. Everybody will have 3-star Goblin machines, and this will completely change the meta. Goblin machine is one of the best cards in the game right now. So if you have 3-star Goblin machines running all over, maybe even 4-star Goblin machines running all over, this update will be one of the biggest trade updates ever, and this Goblin trade will be set in stone in this meta, and everybody will run this Goblin trade, and it'll be probably one of the biggest changes ever in Clash Royale merge tactics.